Madridistas, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Madrid on a overcast, cold Thursday morning. Let me give you my thoughts on the final of the Intercontinental Cup last night. This was a match, honestly, it was very modest opposition. Let's be honest about it. I think as the game went on, the difference between the two clubs became really, really apparent in terms of, everything, speed, power, technique. This was sort of slightly, tilted to one side. But make no mistake about it, this is a very important trophy. This is one of the rarest trophies a club can win. In order to just compete for it, you have to be the champion of Europe, which is a massive hurdle. So make no mistake about it, this is, despite the sort of comfortable opposition, this is a very important trophy for the history and the legacy of the club. The Real Madrid trophy room, at this point is a museum, and it's just massive. If you've never visited it, I recommend you do it. It's an amazing place. But I think it's also a victory that's very good for morale with each of our forwards scoring. So I think there's very, very positive vibes coming out of this match. But let me give you my thoughts. Thanks for joining me. Let's get started. Madridistas, let me give you my thoughts on the Copa Intercontinental, the final last night. Okay, now, first, in terms of lineup, when you have this many injuries, it's very hard to be surprised because you don't have that many permutations. So the lineup really didn't surprise me. This was a 4-3-3. Now, as you guys know, I don't advocate a 4-3-3 because I think it leaves our midfield too soft. I think we have a hard time controlling the center of the pitch when we play a 4-3-3. But when you play against very modest opposition, and this opposition was very limited, we can get away with it. Teams that aren't going to press the ball that intense, teams that are going to give us space and time, were able to pull off a 4-3-3. The lineup itself didn't really surprise me. You had the same defensive back that we've been playing the last few matches. Fran on the left, Lucas Vázquez on the right, Tchouaméni and Rudiger in the middle. The three midfielders were Camavinga, Fede, and Jude. And we had, of course, all of our firepower up front with Vini, Kylian, and Rodrigo. So nothing too surprising there. Now I have to say this, the first 20 minutes were kind of disappointing. It looked like we were still on the plane. We were very, very slow. It kind of looked like we were waking up from a nap. We were very, very slow. At this point, Pachuca they were utilizing a high press that we were, struggling to get out of, which is, a little bit shocking, but true. They were utilizing a high press. They maintained most of the possession. We were losing the ball very quickly. Positionally, you were circulating the ball very, very slowly. So even when we were in positions of attack, we were moving the ball too slowly to surprise them. The only way really to create any danger were kind of through balls between the lines. A couple of them worked, but for the most part, our positional, attack was pretty useless because we were just moving the ball far too slowly. Now this changed after about the 20th minute. We started to come into play a little bit more, longer possessions, quicker passing. We almost scored in the 22nd minute. And then, of course, in the 37th minute, a fantastic team goal, a beautiful collective effort. Now, admittedly, yes, the defense, the defense this is very soft defending on the part of Pachuca to let that many passes go sort of unchallenged. But it was a beautiful goal in terms of collective play. This ball went from Camavinga to Fede to Jude with a beautiful ball to Vini, a wonderful play by Vini on the left, and then crosses the ball to Kylian in the middle, and all he had to do was sort of tap it in. So it was a fantastic collective goal. And this is an example of what these players are capable of once they start clicking, because the quality of these players is undeniable. They just need to click. And when you see a goal like this, it really gives you hope that they can start clicking, because that was a magnificent goal, beautiful, instinctive, sort of first touch team play. It was a really beautiful goal. Okay, we finished the first half on the front foot, playing pretty fluid football. I think the differences qualitatively between the two sides started to really show. The second half, okay, the first few minutes, Pachuca pushed up, as you would expect, and we kind of started the first few minutes with a little bit less intensity. But once again, Pachuca unable to monetize their possession, unable to crystallize any of their chances, and there weren't too many clear ones, to be honest. And then slowly but surely, Real Madrid kind of growing back into the game, getting ever more comfortable. In the 52nd minute, you had an extraordinary goal by Rodrigo. This was a sort of Messi-esque type goal at the edge of the box, dribbling, faking a shot one way, dribbling, faking a shot another way. Now, again, this defending was very, very soft. A player like Rodrigo, you just can't let him dance around the edge of the box like this. If you give him that kind of time and that kind of space, he's going to score, and that's exactly what happened. So a magnificent goal by Rodrigo, we have to admit, but we also have to admit that the defending was quite poor. After that, Real Madrid really kind of took the foot off the gas. It felt to me like most of the second half we were playing, at half gas. It felt like a practice match, to be honest. It felt like training. In the 60th minute, we had our first changes. Camavinga and Mbappe out for Ceballos and Brahim. We looked really, really comfortable in the last 30 minutes. Vini almost scored in the 68th minute. In the 69th minute, you had Modric in for Rodrigo. At this point, I do want to say it was very good to see Carlo Ancelotti making changes that early, because one of my criticisms has been that he waits until the end of the match to make changes, and they end up having no impact on the game. It was great to see him make changes in the 60th and 69th minute, where the changes can have an impact, and where you're paying attention to things like fatigue and things like injury, which have been a problem all season long. So I was encouraged to see Carlo Ancelotti do that. As the game went on, there was only one real chance, a header by Rondon in the 70th minute that came close to the crossbar. But the last 20 minutes felt like a practice match, just training. Then in the 82nd minute, you had the penalty on Lucas Vázquez, a player that defensively has been leaving a lot to be desired in the last few matches, but he is a skillful player. He is a player that can dribble. He can get past people. He's technically quite good. He's good on the ball. So it wasn't surprising to see Lucas Vázquez make one of these cuts that he's sort of famous for. And so that penalty, of course, Vini converted. And Vini almost scored in the 86th minute as well. And then you had the final changes at the end of the match. Asensio coming in for Lucas Vázquez, and then Arda coming in for Jude at the very, very end. Look, in terms of, drawing conclusions, I don't think you can draw any galactic conclusions from this, okay? I think, like I say, the difference between the two clubs is massive qualitatively. This really felt like kind of a practice exercise. So I'm not really going to judge the players too harshly. The only thing I would say is that I think Fede and Camavinga were both excellent. I think they were just phenomenal in the midfield. Jude was phenomenal as well. I think that trio looked very, very good to me in the midfield in terms of defensive duties and interrupting play, but also in terms of creating play. I thought those three worked very, very well together. Fran, I think, had a better than average game. I was very glad to see that. Now, I was surprised that Enric did not get minutes, and I want to know what you guys think about this in the comment section, because this was the perfect match to give Enric more minutes. This is a player we all want to see, who's hungry as hell, a very, very good player in many regards. He's quick, finishes very well. I'm very surprised that in a match this comfortable, you wouldn't give Enric any minutes, and I was a little bit disappointed to see that. Again, I'm very happy to see Carlo making changes earlier. I think respecting injuries and fatigue a lot more than he has in previous matches. Disappointed that Enric didn't play. Again, this match was not difficult in terms of opposition, but I think it was very good for morale. Each of our three strikers scored. And I think for morale, that's very, very important considering everything we've gone through this season. But it's also very important for the legacy and history of the club. Real Madrid now has 4 Intercontinental Cups, more than any other club in the world. And it's just fitting that the team that has the most European Cups now has the most Intercontinental Cups. Again, just once again putting us in a league of our own when it comes to history and pedigree and legacy. So very important from that standpoint. Look, whenever you see Real Madrid lift a trophy, I think you can't help but get excited. And I have to admit that, when I saw them sort of lift the trophy, you think as injured players come back, and the season is still relatively young, it does make you dream, and it does make you believe that anything is possible. Despite all of the problems that we've had and all of the injuries that we've had, it just, last night's match just does give you a little bit of hope and a little bit of excitement in terms of what is possible, because with Real Madrid, you really never know. So anyway, I was very encouraged by what I saw. I think very good for morale, very good collective play. I'm not going to judge the players individually because I just think this opposition was too soft to really start judging players. But anyway, another successful night in the amazing history of this club, this singular, unique club, which I think is very encouraging and gives us a lot of hope for the rest of the season. But anyway, those are my thoughts. I wanted to share them. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Great to be with you guys as always. And as always, Ala Madrid.